and welcome to the channel Pills of Heaven. In this video I would like to talk about the spiritual implications of the extraterrestrial visit on Earth. Like the disciple Thomas, most men of this world want only to see and touch the physical, instrumental and scientific part of these prodigious means that we call today flying saucers. They totally reject the other aspect, much more important, concerning the messianic revelation and the encounter between these superior beings with some men of this world. The unidentified flying object is the cloud of light, the cloud of 2000 years ago, that today we define flying saucer. The prophet Ezekiel in the river Kebar in the land of Canaan saw four beings and called them angels. He saw their means and called them wheels. Today we can associate those wheels with a flying saucer and the multitude of eyes all around to portholes. But why evolved beings from other solar systems which were formed many thousands of years before our solar system was born would come to Earth? To answer this question is the contactee Eugenio Siragusa that in an interview of the 25th of February 1972 affirms, "They come for the same reasons they always came, to help to give men of this world lights of knowledge of the real values of life, to teach the law of the universal love, to prevent man from abusing beyond the limits allowed by his free will, to invite man not to disharmony the balance of the creative force, and to be fully aware of any relaxations that this force can implement if disobedience become progressive and cynical. They come not only for these reasons, but for many others that concerns the wishes of the higher cosmic intelligence, which they embody with full consciousness. They come back to say once again, as they said in Sodoma, enough to this sodomitic degeneration, and to give men a new precise message for a turning point in the evolution of humanity. Many have preferred not to understand nor accept those messages. These things are not of interest even today. Perhaps today less than yesterday because of a proud and hypertrophic presumption. But the truth is this: they return to Earth with a very specific message and with a very specific program. Humanity is experiencing a situation of no return. The values that protect life, love, and justice are almost neglected. It is evident that the world is at a watershed, divided between those who will go towards evolution and others who will go towards self-destruction. We need now more than ever to change our lives, to rethink a way of living on this planet, in the light of the teachings of the great masters, to create harmony around us. In fact, the greatest revelation of contemporary history is that Christ and those beings are connected. The Father used those beings as their messengers on earth. They came to teach, to warn us, and to monitor our impact on the planet. The archetypes or Elohim. Above the earthly men are the messengers, the angels of yesterday, extraterrestrials today, interpreters of the wills and laws of the divine creative spirit incarnated in the great masters of the cosmos. The stars or suns are inhabited by beings with a consciousness far superior than ours and have the possibility to create forms and substances and therefore to generate life. They are the Elohim, the archetypes, or better, the celestial powers. These spiritual hierarchies that inhabit creation are the infinite aspects of that omnicreative will that rewards life in all its evolutionary impulses. God is the archetype of the genes, creators of form and substance, manipulators of genetics and of prodigious biophysical, psychic, and biodynamic structures. In turn, the Elohim can be archetypes. The archetype is the father of a multitude, the being of light that generated you. Is the first, the seed, the tree, and you are his fruits and seeds of his seed. He has begotten you, and you will return to him as sons and daughters of the love of his creative splendor. The light being is the matrix of all your spirits. But how the man dimension was born on planet Earth and who guided it? For a long time, the feathered serpent was the symbol of life on planet Earth. It had great consideration in every ancient civilization, which takes its cult as a symbol of life and origin of the history of the world. The feathered serpent was treated on the pituitary and coccygeal glands to resize its structure, making it suitable for living in the new environmental conditions and on sexual characteristics, splitting individuals so that the genetic evolutions of somatic and psychic values could be transmitted with mating. But this basic primate of man was not destined to remain alone because colonizing fleets were arriving on the planet. The first came from the planet Mallona, on which there was a trail of asteroids between Mars and Jupiter. All the planets occupied orbits other than those currently known, and there was also another planet no longer present today, called Mallona or Lucifer. But what happened at that time? At the beginning, 100 million years ago, the solar system was very different from now. All the planets occupied different orbits than the ones known nowadays. Then, the sun of the planet Mallona exploded due to a rebellion to the universal law and an incorrect use of the nuclear science. It was then that it began the fierce struggle between Lucifer and the Christ. The divine intelligence exiled part of the inhabitants of Mallona on the planet Earth. Thus, there was a coupling between the beings of the planet Mallona and the terrestrial woman, which led to the perpetuation of the genetics of the planet Mallona, that is, of a certain scientific value, but unfortunately lacking in spiritual qualities, the lineage of Cain, the brother who kills the brother. From that time, the evolution of the terrestrial man was distorted because polluted by an aggressive gene, which led to the situation that we are living nowadays. In the period leading back to the Homo sapiens, the continuous intervention of solar genetic engineers determines the reopening of moral values. But the most crucial phenomenon was to happen about 5 million years ago, when the higher universal wills determined the grafting of new genetics into the man of the earth. Your first fathers, those who fertilized intelligent life on your planet, came from afar and were not terrestrial. The first tribes of humanoids, sons of the world, were devoid of intelligence, before the mating between the sons of God and the daughters of men took place. Then he became Homo sapiens, that is, heir of a genetic grafted by a higher will from the living God. The gods were pleased by making an animal man in their own image and likeness, and by giving him the benefit of immortality under very precise conditions and with the obligation to obey the law of the creators. Every heaven has a father, a ruler of creative intelligence, A God cooperated by an indefinable number of coordinators, manipulators of light, and masters of his power and primary elements. Your Son is the logos of the divine creative idea, where every idea becomes a form, before being, existing, serving, and being served. The races. At the origin of all races, myriads of spaceships posed at various points on the planet. In a sublime act of love, the sons of heaven mated with the daughters of men, transmitting the DNA genetics. And the Titans were born with potential four-dimensional values. The characteristics of the four native breeds are respectively white, red brick, yellow, and olive bronze. Have you not been told that you are in the world and not of the world? Your genetic informative structure is not DNA, but GNA, the cosmic genetics possessed by the Titans, coordinators of the creative idea. 7,465,006 is the number of those destined to possess the new genetics that is not of this world. Don't be surprised and don't regret that you will be rejected by those who possess the genetics DNA. Your consciousness is pushed out of the man-animal consciousness, assuming characteristics substantially different and manifesting spiritual, material, and moral qualities which are in contrast to the DNA consciousness. Your history won't be understood by the primordial organizational values and by the political, scientific, religious, and moral values that represent the initial evolutionary pattern. The victory of the GNA genetics will be established the day of the great public contact between the extraterrestrials and the humanity of the Earth. That day, the bearers of that genetics will reveal with all their light and their solar consciousness. The triumph will be sanctioned by the return of Jesus Christ on the planet Earth. He will establish the kingdom of God where the sons of the stars, GNA, and the human beings, DNA, that have humbly sustained those sons of the stars in a mission on Earth will live in peace. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and more videos will come on this same channel.